Hello there guys and welcome back to another episode of F1 24. This will be part 3 where we will be heading into the Australian Grand Prix. So let's head on into it. So join me back at base guys. Obviously last weekend we had a very successful weekend at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, coming second overall. We ended up doing a couple of research and development opportunities at the end of the last episode. We've got some more weight reduction coming from Albon towards the car, and I'm developing the front downforce. So in 2 weeks time I think both of those developments will be on the car, so we should continue hopefully to make some pretty decent progress up the grid. Obviously Albon here as well, with another engine upgrade too for a bit more power. So in the meantime I think I'm gonna keep the points that we have. I'm not gonna spend them on the gearbox materials. I don't think we've been suffering too much with any reliability concerns at the moment. The Mercedes engine is pretty reliable in this game itself. So what I'm going to do now is just fill in the goals for this week and we'll head towards the race weekend. So I'm just doing a couple of laps in practice now guys, and this is the first time actually playing the game that I've really had some issues with the handling model. There's something going wrong with the the inputs. I think we'll have to deal with it for now, but so there's some small inputs. It's just having a massive effect in the car, and it's not anything I've really felt this so far in the game. Like, I have been playing a bit of iRacing and Gran Turismo over the last couple of days, but I mean, maybe I've just gotten used to the model, but coming off the back of some of the other games, I can definitely feel the need for a change. I think there's meant to be a change coming on Tuesday the 11th, so hopefully that will be a positive impact for the game, because yeah, I mean, what I'm feeling from this at the moment is not what I remember from the game the last couple of times I played it. As you can see from the times as well, barely able to hook a respectable lap together around the Melbourne circuit, so I'll persist with it for now, but yeah, like I said, hopefully a patch in the next couple of days can fix these weird feelings I'm having from the cars, but yeah, we won't let it affect us for the rest of the session. So as we finish out on practice, again you can see that we've gone up again in our overall rating. We hit 67, so we're quite on our way to our target of 70 by the end of the season. Our experience is massively going up, as well as for some reason a tiny bit of racecraft, but I don't think it's done too much. So yeah, let's head on into qualifying and see where we can end up. So heading out for our first lap of qualifying of the weekend here at Melbourne. This is the first time we strapped on the soft compound tyres. I've got to say, with the weird feelings I've been getting back from the steering wheel during the practice sessions, I don't have the highest hopes for qualifying this weekend in comparison to the last two races that we've done so far. However, I'm prepared to eat my hat, so follow me on for the rest of this lap as we break down into the right-hander and try and creep the car to the left, riding the curbs as much as we can, as much as we dare. Soft compound tyres giving us a decent amount of grip as we flick the car in towards the middle straight, riding that curb quite a lot in the process. I never really get the right line. I feel like this is the kind of corner where you just pick a line and stick to it. As we open our DRS and slam on the ERS to get an extra boost of speed into the heavy braking zone, left and right, little kink in the middle of the track as we hit the DRS button for the second time in the lap, as we now creep around the final sector of the lap, a bit more of a technical and slow sector, trying to not spin up the rear wheels as we come back down the main straight, DRS and ERS on for the final time as we cross the line, and we go 4.5 or 4 and a bit tenths behind George Russell, I think, who is in P2. So we're P4 at the moment. Not everyone out on track at the moment, so as we completely probably ruined Magnussen's warm-up lap at least. Let's head back to the garage, see where we are at, and make our minds up about whether we're going to have to run again for the end of the session. So now approaching the final few minutes of Q1, and as you can see from the timesheets, we've dropped down to P14. We're about a second off the pace compared to the leaders in front. Albon, our teammate, has managed to do a better job than us on his first lap, going about 0.2-ish quicker than us. So I think because of this, we're right on the cusp. There's probably going to be some improvement. I mean, Lance Stroll behind, he's marginally behind us. So I reckon if he finds a little bit more pace, then that'll kick us straight out of qualifying. Because of how we are quite far down to the back, I'm going to take a second set of tyres, just so that we can get into Q2 at least. So join me towards the end of the lap and we'll see how far up the leaderboard we can get. So as we round the final corners of the lap, as you can see, we're about 0.2 up on our time, dropping just a little bit in this final sector here. Gonna have to try and find every single ounce of speed that we can to cross the line and hopefully try and improve our position. We're going to use every last little bit of energy in the ERS to come across the line as we improve and go P12. Qualifying isn't over just yet, so let's head back to the garage and hope with our fingers crossed that we've done enough to get into Q2. But what a change one weekend has made in our progress in the leaderboards. We were fighting for pole position last weekend, and now it's questionable as to whether we're even going to be able to get out of Q1. So thankfully, as you can see, we have by the skin of our teeth made it into Q2. Again, it's not really looking good for the rest of the weekend at the moment. We're barely going to be able to hopefully edge out our teammate maybe, but we've got another shot. We're into Q2 at least, so let's strap on some new boots and see what we can do with a very difficult car this weekend. I'm struggling a lot more than I was the last couple of weekends, so let's head on into it and yeah, see what we can do, but I'm not hoping for much. So as we head down the start-finish straight towards the end of our lap, we've got a banker lap on the board. It's good enough at the moment for P5 without much time having passed on the time board at the moment. Again, we're behind our teammate unfortunately, so this is looking to be potentially our worst weekend of the season so far. Obviously only a couple of races in, so maybe the worst is yet to come, but hey, we'll give it our best shot. It was on an old set of tyres to get our banker lap in. Obviously it's not going to be enough. I don't know if people like Hamilton and Joe behind have even set a time, but we'll head back to the garage now and we'll see what we can do. We're going to again put on another fresh pair of tyres. Hopefully there's a decent enough delta for us to use and gain some time and maybe make it into Q3, but I don't know, predictions maybe 12th for this weekend. Obviously our aim is to beat our teammate. He's our immediate rival at the moment, so let's get these new pair of tyres on and see what we can do. Right, so this is it guys. Potentially our final chance at making it into Q3 for this weekend. Like I said before, I don't have the most positive feelings about it, but let's head on with the lap. We're going down the main straight with our ERS and our DRS absolutely flat out, losing a tiny bit of time to our previous lap, but with a fresh set of tyres as we flick it into the first corner. We've made up that time again, but then immediately lost it. I don't know what is going on with us this weekend, but the confidence in the car is just not there. As each corner we go, we are gaining a little bit of time, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. We're still down on our time as we head into the middle sector of the lap. We've not set a personal best in the first sector. I think that's probably the first time throughout any session so far this year that we've not been able to make any sort of improvements across a qualifying session. So again, as we've used way too much ERS in the first couple sectors of the lap, we don't have anything really much left for the final sector. We're massively down on our time. We're a 10th down, sat in P12 at the moment, as we just can't put the power down quick enough in this car. coming round the final couple of corners, as we hook it on the curb, the car just gets sucked in. And we lose even more time. We've got plenty of battery in reserve, so we'll see if we can get anything across the line, but there's no improvement to our time. So I'm afraid that is it for us in qualifying, and like I predicted, there we are, 12th. So 12th for this weekend, probably been beat by our teammate as well, so maybe a little bit of pressure now on our heels to start trying to chase back up to Albon, who's obviously doing something just a little bit better than us this weekend. He's managed to extract just about a tenth, almost 2/10 on us. This qualifying, he's made it into Q2. Obviously, if Hamilton can make it past him, then he's out of the points, the same as me this weekend. But we'll head on into the race now. Obviously, without going into Q3, I think we might be able to have a set of softs potentially to start the race on. But yeah, I'm not looking too hopeful for it. We've got some pretty close rivals behind us. The Salvers are looking pretty good behind us, quite tight to us. But our main objective this week is to just even score 1 point in P10 or P9 or whatever it might be, and get ahead of our teammate. But we haven't made it easy on ourselves. We're out in Q2. It's the first time it's happened to us this season, but we got to completely reset now, head into the race and see what we can do. So we're lining up on the grid, guys. It looks like we don't have a soft tyre to use, or if anything, the soft tyre is just not a viable race tyre. I think we're burning through them pretty quick during qualifying. So out on the mediums it is for the first stint. It's going to be a one-stop race again. Doesn't look like there's any weather incoming, even though it's quite cloudy. Maybe the lower temperatures can help us with our car. But yeah, let's head out onto the grid and see what we can make of the start of the race. So we are 5 red lights and underway for the Australian Grand Prix, as we completely lose the rear trying to get the power down, and we've lost a couple of spaces already. Just going to back out into turn 1 so we don't go into the back of anyone, as we get a bit of a concertina and a forced wide trying to go around the outside of Zhou, who completely slows down into turn 1. We've got Bottas aside and we're gaining way too much speed into the first couple of braking zones, but we have only lost 1 position as the rear gets loose. Maybe the cooler temperatures not helping us at all build any temperature into our tyres for this early segment of the race. It's going to be crucial now to stick to the cars in front and try not to lose any more ground. It seems like down the straight we are losing some time to our rivals around. Maybe again in the last couple of weekends we seem to have strapped on more downforce than others around us to get a bit of feeling into the car. These peculiar handling physics this game are forcing me to put a bit more downforce on to avoid any just peculiarities from the handling that I'm sure you're well aware of by now if you played the game yourself. You'll know the differences, let's say, compared to the last game, but we're losing time to the Sauber ahead of us. DRS is enabled and we're not able to use it into the first DRS zone, but it doesn't look like anyone is able to at the moment. So let's settle down into the race. Hopefully we can make up some positions again, but with the gap that we see in front of us, I'm not really willing to use any ERS at the moment because I've got Bottas so close behind us. As we gain a little bit on Zhou into the middle sector of the lap, we've got DRS, so we should be protected from behind. Bottas falling back just a little bit, but Zhou being dragged around by Stroll ahead. As we set a purple middle sector for the lap, so at least that's something. Probably the first purple sector that we've set of the weekend, but I'm not going to bank on it being anything miraculous. But maybe we just need to get into a better rhythm with the car, overtake a couple of cars ahead. And my aim for this weekend really, like I said, is just to get into the points. I'm desperate to not lose that point streak. I'm sure the possibility is there. We do have a car. In the last couple of races has been good enough for the points. As we get the fastest lap of the race so far, maybe a bit of pressure and fighting around at the front to mean that people like Verstappen or Leclerc can't get their own personal bests in at the moment, fastest laps in at the moment. But we're just going to have to tiptoe around that middle sector. I do not know what I'm doing there. Absolute nothingness of a sector from me. Zero confidence in the car, I think, this weekend. Maybe going between games wasn't the best thing that I could have done. But we're still close to the back of Zhou. Not going to try and use our ERS too much. Save it for the main pit straight if I can, as we set another middle sector. So our another best middle sector even, should I say. Our straight line speed obviously going quite well this weekend as Bottas has dropped out of DRS range, so I'm hoping that if we can make a move at some point in the lap, we should be able to get past these cars. I think we must be faster than them at some points in the lap. It's just about getting the exits right where they matter, having confidence in the car to fling it into the corners and get the good exits that we need. But again, like I said, with Zhou being dragged around on a DRS train with people like Stroll and Hamilton ahead, as we run into the wall, losing the car a little bit, we're taking a tiny bit of front wing damage, but I see how badly that affects us for the rest of the race. Doesn't seem to be affecting us too badly at the moment. Seems to have a pretty strong front end as it is, so losing that downforce might not be too much of a drama for us. Worst comes to worst, we can just swap it in our pit window. Albon being a bit of a cork in the bottle by the seams of things for faster cars like Lewis and Lance behind, as I completely, actually maybe underestimate how much that damage is losing out to us in that final corner at least, as the car just jerks over the curb. That's what set us a bit loose on the last lap, I think. That curb into turn 1 was we're locking up our brakes after the DRS straight. A bit closer to the cars ahead compared to where we have been in the last couple of laps. Use a little bit of our ERS to get to the gearbox by the DRS straight, as we probably cut track limits a little bit, but nothing flags up for us. We've used a lot of our ERS to get up to the back of them, but it's not doing anything for us at the moment. Just going to have to keep our heads down, use what we have from the car. Looks like our downforce is helping us out. Downforce levels, mainly that we can get closer to the cars ahead into some of the slow corners, but losing that time on the straight just a little bit. A bit confusing from this car. We seem to be setting purple middle sectors, indicating that we have pretty good straight line speed, but then as we almost lose the rear again, completely losing out down these straights. So the car doesn't really know what it wants to be today, whether it wants to be slippy in a straight line or not. But we're closing in a little bit on the cars in front, maybe a little bit of set of train forming up ahead. Seems like kind of in a bit of a Monaco-esque procession as we fight to keep the car in a straight line over the curbs, losing out massively all the way down to P19. I feel like real life Williams now. Getting outshone by our teammate in qualifying, silly mistakes in the race causing damage. Nothing that James Vowles hasn't seen before, but I'm sure he wanted a little bit more from us. But I'm not going to write this off for the rest of the weekend or rest of the race just yet. But let's pick our heads up and let's try and make some moves back to a decent enough position. I'm sure with some new tyres we can make some headway at least on some of the cars in front. As we come into the pits, let's hope that we can get a better pit stop. Shouldn't be held this weekend because it doesn't look like anyone else is coming behind us. Maybe we can make a jump if we get a pretty good pit stop has come up behind us, so we've made up one position at least.
See these tyres through to the end now.
Let's see if we can stick to the back of Sonoda on pit exit. So we're going to have to treat these tyres a little bit carefully as they come into temperature. The front's almost there, the rear's already there. And the front just locking up slightly, probably just too cold to give us what we need in the braking. Really messing up now with the dodgy front wing, I think. Did we make the right move to not change it? I think we're going to lose if we do, we're going to lose if we don't. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. Hopefully a bit of an undercut, maybe bring us forwards to P16, who knows.
Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now.
So with Gasly coming out the pits, he's a little bit slow compared to us. Really going to have to use all we have with our warmer tyres at the moment. The advantage isn't quite enough compared to the Alpine, as he manages to stay ahead of us going into the middle sector of the lap. Hopefully with a bit of DRS assistance, we might be able to get up into P16. As we open up the DRS now, we're running pretty low on ERS. We're very close to the gearbox as he kind of drifts to the left and drifts to the right just a little bit. But we have indeed made it through to him, past him even, should I say. As we can now continue our chase to head towards the back of this little mini pack in front of us, with our main goal to be catching up to Sonoda, potentially passing him by the end of the race as we lose the status of fastest lap holder to Max Verstappen. Surprise, surprise. Defending our position ever so slightly to Gasly with a bit of ERS assistance. I'm sure there's something I'm not doing right with this car this weekend, but I just can't seem to make it work for me. The steering just seems a bit wrong. Can't quite get it flicked in how I'd want it to. So we're losing the time as we run wide over some of the curbs. Bit of a disastrous weekend for us at the moment, but still 8 laps to go. A lot can happen, so we'll see how we can end up. So it looks like as we head into the final stages of the race, we're not really making the headway that we want to on Yuki Tsunoda ahead of us. We've got the Alpine of Pierre Gasly really pressuring us from behind as we almost lose the car into the middle sector of the lap towards the end of the first sector.
Okay, so gap to the car ahead, 3.0 seconds.
We've dropped now to around 2.8 seconds behind Yuki. I think our little scare there from the rear end has made Gasly back off just a little bit. So we don't have him as a threat to us at the moment in this section of the lap. But he will have DRS on us heading towards the final couple of corners. Really now it's just a matter of keeping keeping Gasly behind. Fortunately, we're not in the position to keep Albon behind us, as we've been tasked by Mark as well to build up of battery charge heading towards the target. But with Gasly behind us, I don't dare turn my ERS mode down any further than it is. It's on medium at the moment. I haven't been using any deploy over the last couple of laps just to try and build up that battery percentage and hit Mark's target at least. As we head now into the last lap of the race, I'm going to give it absolutely everything. All risk, potentially no reward. So we lock up into turn 1, keeping the car pretty planted though, using all the ERS that we have at our disposal. Going a little bit deep towards the end of the straight. Not able to use any grip from the rear of the car there, no rotation whatsoever. We are gaining ever so slightly. I think the other drivers in this game have a tendency to use up as much energy as they can right before the final couple moments of the race, so we're gaining a little bit on Tsunoda ahead. He's dropped to 2.3 seconds, but again, it's going to be pretty miraculous if we can do anything to get back towards him. As we round the final corners now, we're closing a tiny bit, but tantalizingly in sight as Max Verstappen comes across the line to achieve victory. Pretty sure that's his third of the season so far. As we come across the line momentarily, we've held off Gasly behind us. We cross the line, coming home, and measly P16. Wow, what a tough weekend we've had. Charles Leclerc gets driver of the day. What a fall we've had compared to last weekend, going from P2, dropping back to P16. I don't have any answers for it. It's going to be a moment now to ignore all these podium celebrations. We've got nothing to celebrate this weekend. We're going to head back to the garage, head back to base, and we'll have to pick up the pieces of a poor weekend for the team. We've got Albon in front of us as well, not able to stick into the points as Bottas manages to sneak some points for Sauber. If we check out the standings, we're personally still relatively high up there, beating out drivers like George Russell, who's not managed to have many point scoring finishes so far this year. Our P2 last weekend really delivering our major component of our points this year so far. As we look to the constructors, we are P5, so you know, positives to take at the moment, but losing ground to Aston Martin ahead and Mercedes too, who are very hot on our heels. Further weekends like this and we're just going to completely drop out of the points. So let's head back to base, see where we can pick up the pieces, see what we can do to improve our car for the next couple races ahead. So as we head back to our team base, or our home base, sorry, we've had a very good notification hit our inbox. We unfortunately we've just failed some pretty significant aerodynamic and chassis related and power unit related problems, so looks like team morale at the moment is going to be absolutely down in the dumps. But for ourselves, we've got to think of number one, and this secret meeting might be something to write home about. So I'm gonna head into it. This is our first secret meeting of the game. Don't know who it's from. Let's head into it. So it seems like we have a member of the Alpine team visiting us here at our home base. It's not as good as I thought it would be. Alpine not really doing too much to stand out to me at the moment. Obviously we were having quite a close fight with Gasly last race in Australia, but if we look at their stats there, I mean, they're almost dead last in the constructors and 0 points across both Gasly and Ocon. So I'm sorry to the Alpine team, but I'm not going to annoy my my team bosses by having these secret talks with you any further. As we decline the talks, I'm out. Thank you very much for your time, but I'm content with where we are.
The team are pleased that you've declined that meeting. Gold star, brownie points, etc., etc. I guess we'll see if anything else more exciting comes calling, but let's focus on our current seat for now.
Exactly right. Let's focus on our current situation for now. Like I said before we went into that secret meeting, we have some pretty significant failures in the development of our car for this weekend coming up. We've had our front wing, our cable assembly and our engine power all fail. From where we were last weekend, we had too much front wing anyway, so that's potentially a blessing in disguise, as we could go and spend our points on an upgrade to the rear of the car again. I think that's a wise move, and we still have plenty left over to pick up the pieces of the failures that we've had across the board. I will put the resource points back into the areas that Albon was looking at, but I'm going to leave that one with the engine power to Albon himself. I'm going to keep some of my points behind for any potential upgrades that we might be able to do in the future. Should I do that for the front wing? How cheap is it going to be, and what's it going to do for us? It will kick us on the performance scale just above the Alpine, so maybe just to rub it in their face just that little bit. I'm going to go for it. We still have 255 points left over, so 10 days on that, 10 days on the cable assembly, and we might as well. I don't see any future prospects at the moment coming up, so let's get our developments in while we can. Got to keep on hitting it full speed ahead. Completely changed my tune from about 30 seconds ago, but we still have a few points left over. Plenty of opportunity to continue building some up as we head on into the next race weekend. But thank you very much once again, guys. I'm going to leave it there for that episode. Join me next time as we head further towards the Japanese Grand Prix. Fingers crossed it can be a better weekend than what we've just had to suffer through there, and maybe we might be able to attract the attention of a more appealing team as well. I think if it was anyone else other than a team like Alpine, who have 0 points on the board at the moment, regardless as to whether they could have done better than us around Australia or not, I might have joined them, but hey, we've kept the team on side for now. So thank you once again for watching, and I will catch you for the Japanese Grand Prix in the next episode. Take care, everyone.